If you were going to be a DJ, what would your DJ name be?
DJ White Castle?
DJ White Castle. That makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense, knowing your style.
More sense to a few than to the many. So I'd be flipping those burgers all night long.
You're flipping these beats.
Flipping these beats. Beat burgers. That's what I like to call them.
Beat burgers. Welcome to Beat Burger, home of the
with
beef
the extra
burger.
treble cheese.
Treble cheese.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Base buns.
Welcome.
Extra buttery.
Welcome back to the Red Herring Podcast, everyone. I am half of your hosts, Johnny Hatman, and with me is, as always,
Full hat though, and I'm the left-handed gun.
Left-handed gun. This is episode. I don't actually know what our episode is. I think it's
10.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows when this is gonna come out? Let's be honest.
We should be paying attention to our numbers.
I mean, we don't always release them in the order we record them.
Number.
Behind the scenes, folks. That's a little behind the scenes here at the Red Herring Podcast. I almost said 10 out of 10. That show is discontinued.
Let's talk to our producer, Smokey. Smokey, can you come out here for a second?
Smokey is.
Come out here. No, come on. I know you're shy, but just come on. Just say a little something about your production value.
He's napping. He's.
All right. Well.
He's napping.
Anyways, that's the kind of.
That's the professionalism you like to find here on
that's the help we get.
The Red Herring Podcast.
Yeah, we got some great help.
Mike, I gathered you here today. I gathered all the pieces of you here from different locations. Brought them all here, so we could talk about interventions.
Oh God!
You remember that show, Intervention?
Interventions.
What was it, A&E?
I like Interventions.
Have you ever been?
No, I've never really watched it.
Have you ever been a part of one? Because, as a psych major, did you have to
I have never been a part of an intervention. I don't know, actually.
I would have figured that would have been course requirement,
An undisclosed, maybe, or unaccredited.
Or unbeknownst to you.
Unbeknownst to me, yes.
I just thought we were hanging out. I didn't know we were gonna land.
All of a sudden, everybody's turning on me, and
I think of you get invited. Okay.
I rip a shirt off, and I have to run away.
This is the scenario that I picture. It's so somebody invites you to a party, right?
Yeah.
And you show up, and you bring the you bring a bottle of something. Yeah. Maybe it's a bottle of wine that you got that you read in some magazine that even though it's $12, it's the wine pick of the year for Pinot Noirs or whatever. So you bring it. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be classy or whatever. Yeah. They said it was gonna be a very let's say they were vague and they said it was gonna be a very serious party. Or something like that, and you're like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a grown-up party, so that's fine. Well, I'll talk about, I'll eat some caviar with some aged Parmesan and on a wheat thin, and I'll bring this fancy wine, and it'll be great. So you wear a suit, you show up at this.
Is that the only cheese that's gonna be there? Is aged Parmesan?
I mean, if you're doing, it's probably Asiago and Romano too.
I was hoping so. Gouda,
does Gouda go good with caviar or foie gras?
Sure.
I don't really know what goes good with foie gras.
I don't know anything.
I've had aged Parmesan and Romano, but Asiago Romano. It's pretty good.
Aged Parmigiana.
I think we're focusing on the snacks in this hypothetical situation.
Oh, sorry.
The point is,
I'm sorry to bring it off to
So you show up with your bottle of wine and your suit, and everybody else is there is wearing suits and dresses. They're all very well dressed.
Okay.
And there's no music playing. You don't see any snack trays. You go to the host who invited you. You're like, hey, I brought this bottle of wine. And he's like, oh, thank you. Thank you. This is very thoughtful. Has kind of a concerned face. They go in the kitchen. They set it in there, whatever. And you start trying to mingle with everybody there. Some you know, some you don't. So you're just like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, no, we're here for Greg. And you're like, oh, yeah, I know Greg. And they're like, yeah. And you're just like, okay. No one's really talking. Everybody's got a serious face. And then Greg shows up.
Okay.
And you're just... And then the host invites Greg, and everybody sits down, and Greg's in the middle, and all of a sudden, the host who's sitting right next to you just goes, now, Greg, we've gathered here today because we love you, and we want you to get better. Now it's like, if you're there, and all of a sudden you realize what's happening, you are an accessory to an intervention. What do you do? Like, how do you respond to that? If it starts going and you didn't even know what was happening, it was like a flash mob type of shit.
I would, if I had no idea, and if the intervention's not for me, I would be like, why the hell didn't anybody tell me? I've been here for like a half an hour, and Greg finally shows up, and then all of a sudden, everybody's got something to say about Greg. You know, you guys didn't even give me like, you know, a little hint. Maybe I could come up with something. But now I'm angry at everybody that just showed up, and I feel like it's entrapment. I feel like what am I? Am I part of this? Am I just as guilty as Greg of doing something?
Well, now okay. So that's going through your head, right?
Like,
now let's take this one step further. Now you're angry, right?
I'm angry.
You're well, not angry. You're frustrated because like all of a sudden there's an intervention happened, and like all of a sudden then you start thinking back. You're like, wait a minute. And the initial invitation to the party, it said something about, yeah, we're worried about Greg. But you took that to mean, oh, Greg might not show up. We're worried Greg's gonna be busy. Now you're like, oh, they said we're worried about Greg. And you're like, you wrote that off. And then when you called to confirm, they were like, yeah, just make sure you have some nice things to say. And at the time, you thought that meant, oh, I need to have good conversation because this is a party with people that I haven't met, and this host is trying to impress their other friends by bringing me with some knowledge.
Is the host?
The host is just some random mutual acquaintance.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I don't think, like, you're close to Greg, we'll put it that way. But you don't see Greg's meth abuse as a problem. You see it as, and that's when you really start to put it together. You're like, oh, Greg does meth every day.
I gotta stop selling it to him.
If you're in an intervention and you find out that you are the drug dealer that's causing the problem that was the reason for the intervention, what do you do? Like, do you quietly excuse yourself at the first chance before the intervenee has a chance to finger you as like the guy who's responsible for this shit? Because I would just be like, I'm sorry, I ate something bad today. I really gotta go to the bathroom. And they go, it's fine. Just go to the bathroom, fucking leave out the window, like. That's what I would do. I would get out of there as fast as possible.
I'd just run. I'd walk right out.
Just stand up and like, just not even slink out. Just like stand up.
The funny part is the door's probably gonna be locked, right? And so then you're like,
well, that's what I've always wondered, right? Whenever there's an intervention, you always see them like lock the door from the inside.
Yeah.
The fucker that you're intervening on is in the room. He's on the inside. He can get to the lock, unless you have a door that locks from the inside with a key,
yes.
In which case, we may need to intervene on you for being a fucking psycho murderer, because who has a door that locks from the inside with a key?
No comment.
Oh, says the man who has a door that locks from the inside with a key.
A lot of stuff there. You know...
I just threw a lot of shit at you. Anyway, I was thinking about this. This all just came up in the past 15 minutes. So it's fine.
I will take this note and say to you that I'd be angry. I'd be like, what the fuck's going on? And then I would, if I was reading back on the note, I was like, what information did I overlook or, looked past? Which is the same thing. Yeah. And then I'd just be like, oh, you dummy. And then I'd start smacking myself in the head, and everybody would be looking over at me. Then I'd be like, maybe I need the intervention. Guys. Because...
Do you stand up, kick Greg out of the chair, and say, do me next?
Do me.
Me next.
No, me now. Me now.
Just put a quarter on top of Greg's head and say, I got next.
Me. Don't get to the crystal meth, because I may or may not have sold it to him.
Set up a second chair in the middle of that circle. We may need to do a duel. A combo intervention.
I'd be like, or I could be like, anybody got a chair? Anybody got a stool, in fact? And somebody gets a stool or a chair, right? And I pick it up and I throw it through the window and I jump through it and I'm like screaming as I run out of there. Causing more ruckus than anything. And an escape for Greg.
I mean, Greg does need to get out of there. You're basically the chief what's-his-face from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
That's right. I'm Chief Cuckoo.
Or did they just call him Chief?
No, he's a name.
I can't remember.
Well, his nickname was the Chief.
Yeah, I thought they... Well, I know the man had a name. And also the character had a name. But I thought they called him... They just called him Chief.
They called him Chief.
Well, it wasn't Chief something?
I think it was Chief something.
Was it Chief Wiggum? No, that was Simpsons.
Yeah,
That was the Simpsons.
Chief Wanahu.
Chief Awananoscopy, which sounds like a terribly invasive medical procedure. Awananoscopy. It also sounds like something that's elective. If you get my pun.
Brumden.
Chief Brumden?
Chief Brumden.
Back to the show interventions, though.
Show intervention, okay.
You remember that show? That was A&E, right?
I never really watched it.
But
I knew, yeah.
Well, because I remember that show had where that meme came from, the best cry ever. Where it was just, here's the clip. I love that clip because the thing is, like, the man's actually crying, and it's not like they're fake tears, but at the same time he's nonchalantly scratching his face, as in, like, the crying is just something that's happening. So whatever he's addicted to, it's like emotions are just like commonplace. So his body's just like, yeah, you can feel that. Go ahead, feel that. I'm just gonna keep going though.
Yes.
Like, what kind of meth is he on?
That's probably true. That's probably what he's feeling inside. He's probably feeling a lot of damn, this feels good, and damn, this hurts a lot.
Human emotions.
I
forgot what they felt like.
Yeah.
These are my favorite.
I was not expecting this to happen today. This came out of nowhere.
Also,
you're kill buzz. You're a buzz kill. You're killing my buzz right now.
Well, the other thing that makes me
wonder, I'm still feeling pretty good.
The thing that makes me wonder about that show, because I've never researched this, because I just like to speculate, right?
It might have been when reality TV was real.
Well, but here's the question. They couldn't air the episode unless the person who is receiving the intervention signed off on it.
Right.
So seemingly all of the people that signed off on this intervention, including the person who was getting interventioned on,
yes,
they got paid.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them got a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So how sincere were these interventions? They're like, oh, we really want this guy to get help, but if we could get a little Skrilla in the process, that'd be fine. Give me a little scratch for getting my uncle off of heroin.
I think it depends. Well, they get the check afterwards, so I would say that it's kind of real. It's kind of real.
What do you think? What do you think?
It's just like a method actor. A method actor, like
a meth head actor, yeah.
A meth head actor. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna take my emotions and I'm gonna run wild with them. I might stab my fellow actor in the chest with a pair of scissors, but you know, or slap them so hard that they fall over a balcony. You know, no big deal.
Who is this? I feel like you're referring to either a famous actor or yourself.
Neither.
Okay.
Well, okay. In acting class, I saw somebody break a bottle doing the Streetcar Named Desire scene. And he broke the bottle. It was meant to happen, but it was a real bottle. It wasn't a fake bottle. And he cut his hand.
Aren't you talking about the episode of The Simpsons where Flanders was in Streetcar Named Desire?
Of course.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And I've also heard...
We're going to talk about an episode of The Simpsons.
And then I've also heard stories of some meth head actors,
mm-hmm.
who, you know, really reach deep to feel something. They're not acting anymore. I love the meth head acting philosophy.
Are you talking about Daniel Day-Lewis?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
The cobbler?
The cobbler. See, Daniel, I won't say anything because I'm afraid that he might come and kill me if he ever plays a hitman.
I was going to say, it depends on what role he's doing at the moment.
Yeah.
If he's Lincoln, you'll be fine.
If he was Lincoln, that'd be great.
He'd laugh
but he already did that. Who knows what he's on to now? He's probably in the middle of the woods somewhere, you know, sharpening a blade somewhere.
Is he still cobbling?
Cobbling?
Did he go back to cobbling in Italy or wherever that was?
I have no
When
idea.
when he fucked off to Europe so that he could fix shoes because he wanted to take a break from acting.
It's like, oh yeah, no, that's great. That's
Sounds
a great
like Daniel
idea.
Day. I mean,
And you know what
I thought he
also-
lived in Ireland.
But that's only a great idea if you have millions of dollars to do it.
You know those stupid fucking clickbait shit, right? Where it's like 10 actors that didn't get along on set, right? And the first one is always Will Smith, and the first auntie, what the hell's her name?
In Fresh Prince?
Yeah, Fresh Prince.
It was Uncle Phil. Oh, we can't look this up. Although the picture of it is up right now to making us look
The
like
first one is like
retards.
both of them.
It's Aunt Viv.
Aunt Viv.
So he is supposedly he didn't get along with the first actress that played Aunt Viv.
That's why she's gone. That's why they filled it in with a new Aunt Viv.
Is that the real story or is that fake?
That's the real story.
They didn't get along,
They didn't get along.
so they replaced Aunt Viv.
They replaced Aunt Viv.
But at that time, Will Smith seemed to be the kind of guy who could get along with anybody.
Don't you think that that's the kind of guy that he is now? Like, what actor, first of all,
Yeah.
plays the role of the guy that can't get along with anybody, other than Shia LaBeouf?
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So here's the other thing, right? So the secrets behind the set, right? When you when you go on the clickbaity stuff, or you get on YouTube and you're like celebrity tantrum or celebrity thing, you know, you got Michael Cera, you know, you got. Well, anyways, point is right. Some of those, like, I don't know if they're true or not, but the funny, you know, you hear stories living in Los Angeles. You know, you hear like how crazy, insane, and like no wire hangers Ellen DeGeneres is.
Yeah.
And then, but you know, then there was the point that there's one about Tyrese versus James Franco. That James Franco in Annapolis was so intense that he actually punched Tyrese in the face. And it was supposed to be real.
I believe that one only because someone that I know. Shit. So he seems like a psychopath. And all of the like interviews and stuff that I've seen where they're just like, oh, he's just being goofy. I'm like, it really doesn't seem like he's just being goofy. It seems like he really is that fucking crazy. Which actually makes me wonder about Michael Cera, because there's all those behind the scenes things where Michael Cera loses it on set and this and that and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, probably only half of those are legit. Half of those are probably staged.
Well, you know,
It makes me wonder with like, okay, what is the movie? Knocked Up, right? There's a whole thing on the special features in that fucking DVD where, you know, it was supposed to be Michael Cera. And then he freaks out on set and he's like, we did 5 golden takes in rehearsal, and if you'd film those, you had another 5 golden takes, this and that and blah blah blah. And then it cuts to Judd Apatow and he goes, that's when I knew I need to replace him. And I'm like, but did you just fake that shit for the special features?
wow, that's
Or was
interesting.
that real? Like, how would you get away with putting that in the special features on the DVD or any sort of behind the scenes footage and not get sued by Sarah's lawyers?
Well, what about like the Aubrey Plaza, you know, interview?
That was fake.
That was fake.
The Aubrey Plaza, Michael Cera shit from Scott Pilgrim, that was fake.
Okay.
That was planned. But again, that's the thing. Some of this shit's fake. But some of this is some of it could be real. Like the stuff for him on Youth in Revolt, right? This is on the behind the scenes stuff. Why would he let this get out there if this was legit? Because, you know, a couple years ago, I was watching all this shit, and I'm like, oh my god, Michael Cera's a douche. He's a dick. And then I'm like, wait, and it was just recently, like, you know, a few weeks ago, I was like, maybe it's not real. Maybe it's not real. And it was because of the thing that came out with the interview during the Scott Pilgrim stuff.
Okay.
Because it was obvious that it was fake. Like, they came out, they're like, yes, this was fake, this was planned. We came up with this bit because it's in the movie, so we took it in because that's their dynamic in the movie.
I never seen Scott Pilgrim, and
Julie hates Scott in the movie. They cannot stand each other. So that's the joke.
I didn't even know.
And I get it.
Okay.
There's another interview. This is speaking about this shit that's fake. So this was for Superbad. So there was an interview that Michael Cera and
Jonah
Hill were in, right?
Yeah, and that one was pretty obvious that's fake.
It has to be. How would they not know who Edward Norton is? Or who Ed Wright is? Especially considering a few years later, Michael Cera is in a movie directed by Ed Wright, Scott Pilgrim's. It's like, it can't be fake. Or it can't be real. Like, he's fucking Ed Wright.
It's just like the Ben Affleck and Matt Damon doing the "we hate each other" thing, or any Matt Damon doing the "I'm this angry, irrational person" when he did the he's trying to do the commercial with Adrian Grenier, and like that. It's like obviously it's so corny and outrageous, and it's. You know, obviously, it's so fake. It's so fake. It's like, it's so bad. Like, there's nothing real about it. You know, like his beef with Jimmy Kimmel, like all that stuff was just outrageously tongue in cheek.
The thing about those is they're jokes that don't have any real payoff for the general audience.
Yeah.
And people that are like super obsessed with these personalities, they're gonna find it funny at the end of the joke.
Yeah.
The only time. Because I see where you're going with that, and it can have a payoff if the one example where it actually does have a payoff. So Saturday Night Live, Andy Samberg does that sketch where he's Mark Wahlberg talking to animals.
Hey, you know me, right?
Yeah.
I'm Mark
yeah, how
Wahlberg.
you doing? Go say hi to your mother for me.
Yeah. Hey, go.
He does that sketch, right?
It's great.
And then like a week later or a couple days later or whatever, Mark Wahlberg is promoting a movie, and so he's on like the Late Show with the Tonight Show or whatever.
Right.
And so they bring it up, and Mark just very seriously goes, "Yeah, I didn't find it funny."
Yeah.
And so then the host, not knowing who's not in on the joke, is like, "Oh shoot."
Right.
Still trying to keep it light for the air.
And that's how you play it
but
off, too.
Mark Wahlberg is like, "Yeah, you know, that's not. I didn't find it funny.
Yeah.
If I see him again, who knows what's gonna happen?" Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then the next week on Saturday Night Live,
Yeah, he shows up.
oh, he's there on set. Oh no, Andy's running away from him behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There's the payoff.
Yeah.
Because then you see that's how you do it. But if it's just you're just making up a thing because you find it funny, it's an inside joke. There's no payoff for the general audience.
Exactly.
So essentially, you the Hollywood trolls, go fuck yourselves.
Well, you know the other.
If I see Scott Conn.
I was just gonna say now that like we go into the other ones, right? Where I think they're like pretty damn forgivable, and like the outbursts are like even if they're real or fake,
Yeah.
who gives a fuck? And that's
If they're real, if some of them are real, then these people need to definitely like
well
take a fucking vacation.
the specific ones I'm talking about. And maybe we have an argument here, because all right, so there was one where I saw of Dennis Quaid going off behind a desk.
I don't think I've
He's like, you guys are a bunch of amateurs.
No, was that for that was
I have no idea what
I
that
Heart
was for.
Huckabees, I think, right?
I have no idea.
And he was going, oh, fucking amateur, blah, blah, blah."
Amateurs.
Yeah, right.
Amateurs.
If that's real, not only does he need a vacation, he probably should have continued that role. But at the same time, who knows how much they filmed, and how much money they would have probably already wasted on him that they couldn't get back, and who they would have to hire another actor, go through an audition process. The movie wouldn't have come out on schedule or under budget.
See, and you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm biased against a good-looking man as Dennis Quaid is. But I feel like, I don't know, for some reason, him and Christian Bale's epic, famous one. If you don't know about Christian Bale's, then I don't know where you've been. But I feel like those are understandable.
From the aspect that you're under a lot of stress, and at a certain point you just fucking snap. I'm with you when you say understandable, but only because I can understand why it happened. However, them at those points in their career should have been able to be more professional.
Sure. However, how unprofessional were everybody around him being, or how serious?
Well, but that's the thing,
That's
right?
the question mark, right?
That's the right, because with the Christian Bale one, for example, you just have one person who is not on camera, walking from one side to another, just a fucking kid who's getting a shitty paycheck to do some production assistant work, taking something from one side to another, and it's obstructing his view. But is it? You don't need to look at anything, because you're on a soundstage with a green screen. What are you looking at?
Well, it was a light, wasn't it not? Wasn't
it? It was some sort of a light, but that's the thing. He's carrying a light. Oh, it glints in your eye. What about all the stage actors who have shit thrown at them that just keep going?
Well, nobody gets shit thrown at them nowadays. Come on.
Well,
they stopped that.
You clearly haven't been to the place that I frequent.
They stopped
that. Because I throw shit at everyone.
You do not. You do not throw shit at anybody. You know what? Those are your own productions. Those
exactly.
Were your own...
I want my actors to be on their toes at all times.
Are you like the guy that mentored the Runaways? You see the movie in the Runaways where he's like he takes them to like house parties. He books them gigs at house parties, and Joan Jett has got to like block like beer cans thrown at her with the neck of the guitar.
Maybe.
Bah, bah.
Maybe.
And he trained them. He trained them how to band fight.
Listen, my goal in life was to be a dodgeball coach. All right.
Well, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball.
Yeah, and I never made it in that field. All right. I always wanted to, but I never made it. So now I take young actors and I get them gigs in 99-seat theaters, and then I have this running for like a couple days, and then on the opening night I just fucking chuck shit at them.
That's why your studio is always stained with tons of blood. I mean...
Yeah, because I like to throw babies at the actors. Is that so wrong? I'm probably gonna have to cut that. That might have been a little too far.
Yeah, because the abortion clinic right next to your studio is going to get in a lot of trouble.
First off, I have no problem with throwing baby parts.
I shouldn't be laughing at that. That's mean.
Dude, the babies are dead. They can't have feelings. We're getting off the rails here. We're getting off the rails here. We're going in very deep, dark territory. I'm okay with it, but I don't think the general audience is.
They're fine. They're not. They're.
Maybe we should cut to a commercial.
That's Scott Conn.
Let's go. Fucking Scott Conn.
It's my money and I need it now.
It's my money and I need it now.
It's my money and I need it now!
It's my money and I need it now!
It's my money and I need it now!
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
We came, we saw, we kickled.
That's less of a cackle and more of a laugh. So, okay, the Elon Musk situation.
Yeah.
He wants to build tunnels.
He wants to build tunnels in Los Angeles.
Underneath LA for like cars. Like automated tunnels. Okay. Here's the pro that I would say that these tunnels have.
Let's go over the pros first.
Mm-hmm. If they were able to be executed properly, it would alleviate some traffic. Now, the only problem I see with these tunnels is that what happens when it doesn't necessarily, it yes, alleviates some traffic from the surface, but also causes the same reduced amount of traffic underneath the surface, right? So it's just, it becomes a point where it's like, oh yeah, the drive is shorter. but it's shorter regardless of if I stay above or below ground. It's almost like if I get off on this exit, I could be there 15 minutes earlier.
Well, he says you can go 130 miles an hour underneath the ground.
Well, but also
because they're riding on these sleds.
Well, but that's the thing. You're not driving on the sled, right? You park on the thing and it just takes you. It's automated.
Right.
But it's almost like the self-driving car thing. To the point where, if all the cars are driving and they should, take lane merging, for instance, right?
Yes.
The proper...
Something that should be alleviated
The proper lane merging would be every other car merges in between every other car. And if that were to happen, then everything would move successfully and it would flow fine and it would be great. Now, if the machines were able to do that and sense to be like, okay, I'm this car, so it goes here, and I'm this car, so it goes here, then theoretically, there would be no extended traffic hold. But with all the variables and the sensors, that's not gonna fucking happen. It's not gonna fucking happen.
Here's the other thing
It's like the cars from iRobot.
Yeah.
Those were all self-driving with a manual override, but it's...
Which, I can be down with. But here's the other thing. All right, the traffic alleviation part of it. First of all, what are the regulations going to be? You're going to have a special sticker to go into these tunnels, correct? You're going to have some kind of allowance to be in there.
What kind of allowance were you talking about, though?
I'm sure it's just going to be like fast track or easy track.
Like the easy pass?
Easy pass. Because government's going to get their hands on it somehow. Because they have to pay for the tunnels.
Well, do you think the tunnels would have the same toll regulations as some of the freeways?
I think that...
Because the whole idea... Well, see, that's the... not to get into this, but the whole idea of, tolls, right? So there was a bridge. Let's just say this is the hypothetical situation.
Supposed to pay for the bridge.
There was a bridge, right? It was supposed to pay for the bridge. But then after the bridge was paid for, they just never took the toll away.
Yes.
But I think what Elon Musk is trying to do is pay for the tunnel.
There's a bridge in Boston called the Token Bridge.
Oh, of course it is. It's your token bridge.
It's your token bridge.
Well, but I mean, that's the thing. I think what he's trying to do, though, is finish the tunnel without taxpayer money so that you don't have to pay a toll to use this tunnel.
And that would be a wonderful thing until you got some politician telling you that they need money for the road.
How are we gonna fix the tunnel?
How are we gonna fix the tunnels?
Let's be real though.
We got earthquakes
Roads
here.
break down.
We got earthquakes.
Tunnels are gonna break down.
Tunnels are gonna break down.
What happens when Also, another thing too. There's gonna be above ground access to the tunnel for pedestrians at some point because the workers are gonna have to get down there. So these tunnels eventually are just gonna become a fucking breeding ground for drug deals.
Oh yeah.
Prostitution. Why wouldn't they be? If I was a pimp,
vagabond lands.
Right?
How about this?
They're gonna be heated. They're gonna be heated or air conditioned.
They're gonna need land. They're gonna need surface for the elevators that these cars go down in on the sleds, right? Do you want that in your neighborhood? It's gonna be this. This property needs to be sold to incorporate this. You gotta widen the streets. You gotta buy out land from people that might not want to sell their land, or you're gonna have to force them off.
Well, but that's the thing, though. It's
how many exits are gonna be there?
No. It's probably gonna be one of those things where it's So you have when you buy airspace, you're buying land. But how deep do you need to go before it becomes not your ownership?
Well,
it's going to become where instead of buying airspace, you're buying under earth space.
Well, there's another great issue. And I was only talking about on the surface because I think that's going to be a headache as it is. But then, you know what? Eventually they're going to want to start taxing or start propertizing, under earth space. Under surface space.
Well, it's just a thing, because, like, I don't think that you need to buy... In America, you don't need to buy airspace. I think that's only, like, I know you have to buy airspace in China. And I think in some parts of in the West you need to.
You know,
Well, because the guys with the billboards, right? All they did was buy a tiny, tiny little square of land, and then they built up. And that's how the guys who made billboards made billions of dollars.
I mean, the only thing I know for a fact is that there's certain you can't build above a certain amount of feet in certain towns, in certain areas, because they don't want the height of the buildings to go past this point for aesthetics. But here's another thing with the traffic thing that I fail to see being a solution to this whole problem is unless they work out a class system. I'm honest. Like, okay, let's say you build the tunnels. These things are fantastic. You could go 130 miles underneath. You can go 130 miles, or you can stay on the surfaces and you can go 10 to 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
All right. And if the roads clear up, maybe you're on the 405 or the 101 going 60, or the 10, you're going 60 miles an hour, right? But you could go 130 underground. And it's perfectly safe. Let's just assume that earthquakes can do no wrong to these things. All right, which is just...
If they have the proper buttressing, it'll be fine.
Sure.
Depending on where the fault lines are.
Sure.
Don't build a tunnel on a fault line.
Every time I cross the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, I'm scared to death. So, and...
Understandably so.
Yeah. So, but anyways, let's say you have to give out... Okay, so how many sleds, can you get to go through the cycle, right? Because you can't just have one sled for the whole system. Let's say like this on-ramp, off-ramp thing. You can't just have one sled, because you're gonna have a huge line. You're gonna back up this line to get onto this elevator.
That's what it's gonna be. There's gonna be a line, and that's gonna be the far right lane for the exit, right? And so you're gonna...
That's just gonna back the fuck
honestly,
up.
it's just you'd probably have a better chance of getting to where you're going on time if you don't use the tunnel. Which is why I am in full support of the tunnel, because the fucks that are gonna get into the tunnel are gonna be the ones that get there late. Not me. I'm going above ground, baby. Fuck those tunnels.
And
Elon, I love your idea. You got my commute shorter.
You know they're gonna have like this, like on your Google app, they're gonna be like, tunnel is light, streets are heavy, streets are heavy, tunnel is light. But here's the thing, where going back to the ticket, the pass, excuse me, you're gonna have
If
he also wants to have certain levels of tunnels, like multitude of levels of tunnel. This is outrageous. This is outrageous.
But the thing is, this is all just theoretical. Let's be honest. He's just thinking in terms of an inventor. He's thinking in terms of what can we do?
And I get it, because he has to go through these processes to maybe actually come up with his next big breakthrough. Because the Hyperloop is a joke.
It's a good theory.
It's a great theory, but you know, these things don't make it past paper
Well, but I mean,
before you actually...
not necessarily though. I mean, you get the Hyperloop was essentially the same theory that was with the Hadron Collider.
However, the
Hadron Collider is up and running.
Yes,
I
but...
don't know if they stopped. Didn't they stop it at some point?
I don't know if it's... Well, I'm sure there's...
Well, because as soon as they turned it on, the Mandela effect took place.
Yes, that's true.
That's what they say.
Deja vu for everyone.
Oh no, the Mandela effect.
Luke, I'm your father.
No,
Hey,
I am your father.
hey, Luke.
Hey, look.
Yo, I'm your father.
Really? Fucking really?
Con!
So many sensors I gotta put in there.
But you know, I mean, I watched the thing on the Hyperloop.
Yo, bladder.
That was what my reality was.
So, mate, what is this? Star Wars? In South Central? Don't be a menace on Tatooine when you're drinking your juice in the hood. Anyway, continue.
I was gonna say, yeah, George Lucas. True original gangster.
True OG.
True OG. But the hyperlink, right? The hyperloop versus the hydro. The thing is the you're talking about the hydro thing is completely encapsulated. It's completely closed in.
Mm-hmm.
You get the vacuum. You get the cylinder vacuumed out.
Vacuum packed, yeah.
Vacuum packed, right?
Yeah.
And you're not opening the damn fucking thing to put something else in it, and then closing it back up and having to vacuum it.
Well,
and think about it this way, all right?
that's the start-
Even though it's like a mile
That's
or
the
a couple of
jumping
miles.
off point, though. You
Alright.
get a system working, and then you figure out how to pause and play, and pause and play, and pause and play.
All right,
The first step is get it to play.
which it never did.
That's because he wasn't working on it, though, was he? He just threw a bunch of money at it and said, "Hey, college kids, figure it out."
But it wasn't promoted that way.
That's how I took it.
But that's how then it came to be the kids thing. Like it became this kids project. But like he sold it to the kids as like, you guys are the future. And like, you know,
Of course they're the future. They're gonna work on this shit and they're gonna come out with whatever they
I
learn.
was
with
told
this
I was the
Hyperloop
future
bullshit.
at one time, and look at where I ended up.
No, you are the future. You are the future of whatever the fuck it is you do.
I am the masters of the universe.
You are the
Coming out in
master of your own
2019, by the way.
universe.
Master of everybody's universe.
You're the master of your own universe.
I'm Skullface.
I'm a Skullface Killer.
Skullface killer.
Skullface Killer. The Riddler.
Straight out of Milwaukee-delphia, yo.
Straight out of Milwaukee-delphia. I got the Skullface Killer. He's my rap gang partner. Y'all do it for Dilla. Alright, what's up?
Did you hear Ridley Scott believes in aliens?
Ridley Scott is an alien, yeah.
Yeah. Well, now he's
Of course Ridley Scott believes in aliens. He directed Alien.
yeah. Hey. Well, all right then. I'm glad you agree.
Just gonna like, of course he does. He directed a movie and several others about aliens and robotic life forms on an alien planet. Of course he believes in aliens.
Well, I rest my case.
I'm just like, it'd be like you saying, "Oh, Spielberg believes in
Sharks.
This
He believes in sharks,
is devolving quickly.
and he believes in Indiana Jones.
Not many people do believe.
Indiana Jones 5, dude.
I don't want it to happen.
Harrison Ford is as old as Bernie Sanders. Can you believe that shit?
Harrison Ford also lost his pilot's license because he just crashed one too many times.
Did he ever lose his carpenter license?
How? Do you need a license to become a carpenter, or
Yeah.
can you just make things out of wood?
Well, if you're doing construction.
Construction and carpentry are two different things.
Not really.
If I say, "Hey, can you build this brick building?" And
If you're talking-
"Hey, can you build me a stool?" Those are two different
A
things.
carpenter can also build decks, and that's what Harrison Ford did back in the 70s.
Yeah,
before
when he was trying to be an
build
actor.
decks. Build decking is regulated. There's regulations behind building decks,
You know-
especially in Los Angeles, where you can't get anything built for years on end. Talk to some of the people you know that own places.
Oh, you mean with like the fucking in those what do they call them?
Anywhere.
Those communities?
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, so I
Let
guess we're coming up to we're coming up to the close here.
Did you listen to your annual Queens of the Stone Age album countdown, basically?
Not
yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. I'm getting there though.
I'm getting there.
Usually that starts about midway through May,
Oh.
which is gonna date this episode whenever it gets aired, unless I just edit this one before I upload episode 8, which means episode 10 is gonna be before 8 and 9. Fuck you.
Or the next mini-sode, whatever.
That was not gonna happen for a while.
Yeah.
We need some,
Damn cats.
but yeah. So Mike, what do you wanna end on?
Ferris Bueller, round 2. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head.
God damn.
Brutus, get back inside. Get back inside. No, don't. Did you get your hands off me? Get your hands off me!
Get.
I'm gonna talk about Ferris Bueller some
ahead.
more.
Go ahead, do it.
Cause I'm gonna end on that. That's what I'm gonna end on.
We're gonna end on that. That's fine. I'm gonna do this thing.
I'm gonna end on.
You take control. You take.
So,
It's fine.
so listening back on the Ferris Bueller talk, we didn't know.
Okay. Yeah, you do your thing. Do your thing. Listening back. It's
Brutus, get back inside. He's not calling for you. It was Nigel before, but now it's Brutus. I see that you switched out your men. Your henchmen.
Part of me
You,
wants.
you don't know what I'm talking about,
Part
huh?
of me wants you to cut you off right here. And from here.
You think? Oh. Well, let me tell you something about Ferris Bueller. All right. So Cameron freaks out at the end of the film, right? He's like hyperventilating.
Yeah,
he
he
can't
does.
breathe. He's sitting.
Yeah, he does.
He's sitting. First of all, he already fucked up that car by sitting
is.
on the roof of the car.
Yep.
That was bent up. What are you about to do? Don't you do it? Don't you do it? Don't you dare!